Good
Collin.
morning. Hello.
How are you?
Doing great.
Yes,
It's Monday.
We got our coffee.
We do.
We're trying to stay caffeinated. Did you have a good weekend?
I did. I
What'd you
went
do?
to Canton. Went to Gervasi, which is that
Yes.
winery up there. It is lovely.
I know.
A little chilly. I should have expected the cold, but it was nice. It flurried. Stepped out of the car Saturday and we're like,
Oh, it did? Oh, yikes.
Why is there snow? But no, it was lovely. And then yesterday kickball started, and by the time we started playing, it was actually nice and warm. So
yeah, absolutely. I didn't do anything crazy. I went on a little shopping trip with my mother to Cincinnati.
Oh,
So that was a
fun.
fun little drive, just an hour and a half away.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
I see your cats were involved in your meal prepping.
I was meal prepping this week. I always make like a weekly soup. Easy to have and, hearty, healthy. And my cats, they, want to join in on all the fun.
Do you still do soup in warm weather?
Yes.
Interesting.
I love soup.
No, soup's
Big
a cold
soup
weather
girl
food.
over here.
Yeah. What is it? George Costanza, soup's not a food?
Soup is a food.
All right. Here's what we're talking about today. Yesterday, the 3 Ohio airmen who were killed in that plane crash in Iraq were brought back in what is known as a dignified arrival. They were brought back to Rickenbacker Air Force Base.
Yeah. And we have Royal Flamingo. They're coming on at 9:30 today. They are having the owners, Beth and Brian. This is a Grandview coffee shop, and they were voted runner-up in the U.S. Today's best independent coffee shop. So in the country, which is crazy. So they're going to talk about that and kind of how the tariffs are impacting them as well. So
And the
be
recall
interesting.
effort in Whitehall is moving forward. There are enough signatures for that to move forward now. So now it's really up to the council clerk to figure out the next steps in that, in the recall of 2 council members plus the mayor in the city of Whitehall.
Yeah, so let's get to some breaking news we've been following this morning. A shooting happened at a gas station. We have a map of it that we're going to pull up. This happened around 5:30 this morning. It's kind of off of I-71, near East 5th Avenue. And our Amy Steigerwald, she was there all morning bringing us the latest updates, and this is what she recently had to say.
But I can tell you that officers are still at that gas station. If you take a look, they've got it blocked off. We've watched detectives arrive within the past hour, kind of piecing through things. And like you mentioned, just within the past hour or so, Columbus police told us that there was a shooting that occurred off of Olmsted Avenue. That's close to where we're at. But eventually officers were dispatched to this gas station. That is this Exxon right off of 5th Avenue at that 71 entrance ramp. We're told one individual was transported to an area hospital and remains in stable condition at last check. As of right now, officers say they do not have any suspects in custody, although we've been watching them question a couple people here. We've seen a couple people arrive, come and go from this scene as this investigation continues this morning. Again, at this time, they have no suspects in custody from what they tell us, and they don't have a motive for exactly what led up to this shooting either. But like I mentioned, this entrance, the entrance ramp to 71, very close to this gas station where officers are working right now. So if you commute over here typically, just be mindful right as you get off the freeway, you will be running into this. The road is still open, so shouldn't be too big of a problem for you, but just be mindful of that here as you head out the door this morning.
All right, Amy, thank you. So we'll keep following that, see what's going on.
Yeah, certainly some updates, hopefully at noon and then later this evening on 10 TV.
Absolutely. So in other news out of Pike County, there's a missing 11-year-old, according to the sheriff's department there.
She was last seen at a Dollar General store.
Yeah, 6:30 Sunday.
Yes.
Her name is Harper Ray Bowe.
Right. Last seen at a Dollar General store just off Route 772, just outside of Piketon. Now, she was last seen wearing a beige shirt, light blue sweatpants, and the sweatpants had the Snoopy character on them. You see a picture of her there. Now, according to the sheriff's office, it's unclear what direction she went when she left the store. She's about 5'2", weighing at 150 pounds, brown eyes.
And if you see her anywhere or know about her whereabouts, you are asked to either call 911 or you can call 740-947-2111.
Yeah. So, continuing our coverage of some sad news for Central Ohio is the return of the 3 airmen that were killed in that plane crash in Iraq.
Yes, the dignified arrival happened yesterday afternoon. And we have video of this. Hundreds of people came out to support those 3 airmen that lost their lives in the war.
Yeah. And as tragic as it is, it's a really powerful moment to see this many people turn out. And I mean, people line the streets around Rickenbacker Air Force Base and the airport, but also as far south as Asheville.
Yeah, people were really showing up for all of them. And this is what one of the bystanders had to say about why she came out today. She said she didn't know any of them, but she still wanted to show up and be there.
It's hard. This could be somebody that I knew, and it hits close to home.
Yeah, I think this hits close to home for a lot of people because a lot of us, have either veterans in our family or active service members that are kind of on standby right now, waiting to get deployed possibly. So this has a personal touch to everyone, I feel like.
Yeah, and it doesn't end with yesterday. Tonight, Columbus City Council is planning to present a resolution that will honor the life and legacy of Columbus native, which is Master Sergeant Tyler Simmons. He's the one of the 3 that is from the Columbus area, grew up in the Berwick neighborhood. He went to Berwick Alternative Elementary School, then Eastmore Academy, and that resolution, it's going to be the latest way he's being honored after losing his life. I guess it was just earlier this month.
Yeah. Time is flying by, but we'll have more of that on 10 TV Plus.
Right.
Absolutely. All right, let's switch gears to Whitehall. There's a lot going on there.
Yes.
The people there are calling for the resignation of the mayor, a city council member, and another city council member.
Right.
So 2, and that's 3 in total, which is a lot. This doesn't happen often.
So we're talking Mayor Michael Bivens along with Councilwomen Lori Elmore and Amy Harkar. And this has really developed into more than just a call for the resignation. It's turned into actually a recall petition that as of Friday, I believe, got the number of votes that it needed, or the number of signatures needed in order to push it to the next step. So organizers collected 472 signatures. And this had to be sent in to the Franklin County Board of Elections for determination of which signatures were valid. And in all, 444 of these signatures were valid Whitehall signatures. The minimum threshold was 425. So they passed that. So now it basically goes on to the council clerk to decide what goes on to this. Now, we did talk a bit ago with City Attorney Brad Nicodemus over in the city of Whitehall about really kind of what happens next. And this doesn't really mean, now that these signatures are all there and valid, it doesn't mean that this just automatically moves forward.
They have to be presented in a certain way, bound as a certain instrument, has to contain a statement for the reason for recall.
And now the clerk of the council has until Tuesday, so until tomorrow, to determine whether these petitions are legally sufficient, if they meet all of the requirements that are outlined in Whitehall City rules, state government or state law, etc. And for that final procedural vote, if that recall is actually valid.
Yeah, so we a couple months ago we spoke to one of the supporters, Holly Stein, and we haven't spoken to her in a while, but she outlines her concern with all of this and with the mayor and those 2 council members are that they're misusing taxpayer dollars. There's no accountability and there's legal liability. And Mayor Bivens, he's pushing back sharply against this effort. He released this statement, reading in part, not only will the unwarranted recall effort cost Whitehall taxpayers, but the drive of the political extremists in also supporting hateful and decisive agendas benefits no one. So he's fighting back on this effort, and other council members are as well.
Yeah, and we've heard from both Councilwoman Harkar and Councilwoman Elmore, and Harkar framed this recall as a challenge to the democratic process, saying the recall effort is concerning because it seeks to overturn the decision of the voters who elected us, saying what is most troubling in this situation is what it says about the priorities of our community. So really what happens next is, if this is, deemed credible to move forward by the clerk of the council, Mayor Bivens, along with the 2 councilwomen, have 5 days to resign. And if they do not leave their position, then there's a special election, and then it goes to the vote of the people of Whitehall.
Okay, that'll be really interesting to follow and see what happens with that. But that's, 3 positions, the mayor and 2 council members. That's a lot of people to fill, a lot of seats to fill.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of discourse, I guess would be the easy way, the polite way to say it, for what has gone on in the city of Whitehall really over the past year, because some of, there are a lot of allegations made in the petition, especially the petition to recall Mayor Michael Bivens. Some of that goes back to kind of an ongoing back and forth between the city, the police department, and the Fraternal Order of Police. And there's current litigation that's still in the courts regarding the city of Whitehall and the Fraternal Order of Police Lodge 9.
And access to emails, right? City emails.
Yes. So that's currently being litigated out in Franklin County Court. And then some of it also goes back to some standing calls for the removal of Councilman Gerald Dixon, which you may remember had some charges against him that have since been dropped. But there have been multiple votes to try and get him off the council.
Yeah, we'll keep watching that, definitely. Well, coming up, we have Tyvis Powell joining us to talk all about March Madness in the Final Four.
Quite the upset.
Yes.
With Duke.
Yes.
Now out.
Purdue, that was a rough game. I had to watch that on Saturday night. So.
But hey, the Illini are moving on. So, all right.
All right, we'll be right back after this short break.
Welcome back to The Big Picture here on 10 TV Plus.
Yes.
It has been quite the upset for a lot of people's brackets this March Madness. I don't think Duke did as well as a lot of people thought it would.
No, and Purdue lost.
Yeah, Purdue's out.
That was a rough game.
Hey, the Illini are going great. University of Illinois Champaign going great. But joining us now is Tyvis Powell talking about some of those for some people, maybe disappointing outcomes.
Well, I watched my bracket.
A lot of brackets were busted.
My bracket, so my final two was Duke versus the Wolverines. I still got the Wolverines, but obviously Duke, I don't understand. Like, I don't. You get to the end of that game. First of all, you're winning big, and you allow UConn to make this unbelievable comeback. And you got the ball. You're up by 2 points with 11 seconds to go. Just hold the ball. Let them foul you. They have no choice but to foul you. Just let them foul you. Go to the free throw line, hit 2, and the game's over. And I get it. You're running. You want to waste some clock. They give it to Cam Boozer. He passes it, and his brother Caden gets the ball, and he sees 2 open guys. So I understand it. But you have to understand in that situation, do I want to play it safe or do I want to be risky? He chose to be risky. They tipped it. Next thing you know, guy shoots a 3 from the logo, and it was just chaos. It was chaos. It's what you want out of March Madness, but my bracket is done.
Yeah, it's done.
It's done.
Yeah, I think you're not alone.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure a lot of people at Duke make it a little farther. And I mean, I don't know. Connecticut feels like an odd one out there in that.
It is, I mean, they're a 3 seed in this, 2 or 3 seed in this, so it's really not that crazy. It's funny because you look at the Final Four, and really the championship game is the Wolverines versus Arizona. I feel like whoever wins that game is probably going to go on to win because you got Illinois versus UConn. Not saying that those two.
It's Arizona.
I mean, Illinois hasn't been this far in a long time.
Correct. And it's funny because I met their coach, Brad Underwood. We did when I was doing Big Ten Tailgate Show, it was him and Andre Stojakovic, and we interviewed him. And I was just like, he was telling me about the team and all of that stuff. And I'm like, okay, so you went overseas. They had this fun thing where they like posted a picture on Twitter of him with like an orange jumpsuit on, like he just broke all these guys out of prison and things like that. It's hilarious, but he embraces it. And it's so funny to see how that team has progressed to where they are now. He's such a great coach and such a great guy, so I'm happy for their program and all, but I don't know, when you look at the Wolverines, you look at Arizona, those two are just like, they got size, they got toughness, they got good players. It's going to be hard to beat them.
Arizona, I felt like in that Purdue game, they were fast.
Yeah, it seemed like it wasn't fair. Like it's like they really dominated the paint, and Purdue in that first half,
they were doing okay.
They were hitting threes. They hit like 7 threes in the first half. They went to the second half and they hit none. And it's like they got no second chance points. They were dominant on the board. So Arizona versus Wolverines, to me, that's the national championship.
Absolutely.
Well, all right. So on to the Blue Jackets. What the heck is going on? We had a good run, and then
whoa. Now, I don't want you to. You saying it like it's over.
I'm not saying
right
it's over,
now, as it stands, they have a 51% chance of making the playoffs. All right. Now, I would say
it's 1% over half.
We went from like 80-something% to 51, but you're telling me there's a chance. That's what we want out of this whole thing. So I think that it happened. This weekend happened. I can't understand why it happened. I just hope that they got it out their system, because knowing what you have, and it's funny because the Jackets never been in this situation before. Even last year.
Yeah, they're not used to winning.
Yeah, don't do it like that. When they was in this situation, when they were
Jacket fans.
When you look at their situation last year, they were always chasing to get into the playoffs. Now they are in the playoffs, and people are chasing them. And it's foreign. They never had to defend their spot before. And I think that's starting. It's a lot of pressure that comes with it, and you see certain things happen. So hopefully, they understand the magnitude of the situation, and they get it out their system from last week. They got 2 big games against Carolina.
Yeah, they better
and
shape up.
It's like I said, they got Colorado, they got Detroit, they got Boston. It's a lot of games in these last 8 games. That's some good teams, but hopefully they've shown that they can do it. They just got to hold themselves to them standards.
Right, because, I mean, it's...
If they don't make it, it will be a shame that they got this close and don't make it. Like you can't. Don't do this. Don't do this.
Don't
to
do
me.
it to Tyvus, okay? His heart's gonna break. But hey, he's on his knees begging.
Are you the good luck charm? You got to.
I'm 2-0. I am 2-0.
Did they win the game that you fired the cannon?
I'm 2-0.
Okay.
2-0 in nationwide. I've been to 2 Jackets games in my life. Every time we've won, and it's been like a very good win.
Have Tyvus come back out.
I'm available. If the Jackets need me to come, bring my luck and fire the cannons some more, I will fire all 8 of them, or however many home games is left.
Yeah, I mean, it's like pretty much here on out, they've got to win.
Yeah. I was talking to Ryan Baker on 97.1 The Fan. You can catch him on Bishop and Friends. He was saying that he thinks that they need to get 8 points in 8 games, which is very doable. Yeah, very doable. So hopefully that's the case. He thinks 90. Does it put him at 97 points? He thinks that gets them in. So hopefully they can get that done.
It's doable.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay,
come on,
well,
Blue
we're
Jackets.
rooting
Let's
for
do
them.
it.
But going outside, it's starting to feel a little bit like spring
Yes,
and the
it is.
Clippers.
Yeah, Diamond Dog Night tomorrow.
Yes.
Hey, get you $1 and you'll have the best experience ever. $1 will get you 10 hot dogs. Enjoy all 10 of them. I wouldn't recommend. They got the 9 in and 9.
How many hot dogs?
The 9. Yeah. 9 innings with 9 hot dogs and 9 beers.
You're gonna be feeling awful good.
I don't drink. Well, I don't drink beer. If you substitute it with lemonade, we might can talk about something.
9 hot dogs?
Yeah, 9.
Have you ever done it?
No.
I feel like it's not that.
9 hot. But
it won't be that challenging.
But then you add 9 pints of beer on top of that.
Yeah, well,
you're
being optimistic. It really does sound horrible.
It's going to be uncomfortable by the 9th inning.
Awesome.
All right.
Okay, Tyvus, thanks for coming on.
No problem.
Anything else? Any final words on this Monday?
No, go Guardians. We got the Dodgers coming up in our
Okay.
series. Go Guards, and I know the Reds got the Pittsburgh
got the hat on.
Pirates.
Check
So
it out.
go all Ohio teams in that.
Let's go. Okay.
Hey, see you Wednesday.
We'll be right back.
Welcome back to The Big Picture here on 10 TV Plus. Jay Fox joining us from the Ohio News Network this morning, and we are talking a statewide investigation into the Ohio Department of Corrections.
So I sit at a desk next to our investigator, Rochelle Aline.
Yes.
And I can tell you that she has literally stirred the pot on this, so much so that now she's got newspapers and other media outlets looking into the situation with the prisons. And it's not just a Central Ohio issue. It's all Ohio.
Yeah, we had her on Friday to
Yep.
talk about this investigation that she's basically spearheaded since the beginning.
And it comes as the director of ODRC is done at the end of this week.
Right, and she's joining the DeWine administration to help him finish out his term. So there's a lot of questions still.
There
So what's
are
the
a lot
update?
of questions. Well, first of all, it's a major drug problem that affects all the prisons in the state. And as we know, there are two things that the prisons are supposed to do. One is punitive, where people are punished for their crimes, but the other is rehabilitation. And for many people, that involves substance abuse, whether it be alcohol or drugs. So imagine if you are a substance abuser trying to rehabilitate in a prison, and all of a sudden you've got drones dropping prisons in the prison yard, people throwing drugs across the fence. Then you've got prison employees allegedly bringing them in, vendors allegedly bringing them in. So now there's this massive drug trade. And it's not just minor drugs, it's major drugs. So
What's being done about it?
Well, obviously we have to shoot the drones down. No, we're not doing that. The problem is you have to find a way to stop the influx at the point where it comes in. But you also have to increase the way you inspect your prisons to determine who has these drugs. What are they doing with them? Is this happening in the yard where there's free time? Is this happening in the lunchroom where they eat? Or is this literally happening cell to cell with folks that are stopping by and taking a package from cell A and turning it to cell B? But do you guys know what the biggest drug is that they're having a problem with?
I'm assuming fentanyl.
It is. It's fentanyl. And It's also Suboxone, and then something called Tune, which I'd never heard of.
What is that?
So Tune is like a postage stamp piece of paper that's soaked in cannabinoid. And they bring in these sheets of paper in envelopes like letters, and then they cut them up and they distribute them. And the thing about the fentanyl that makes it perhaps the most dangerous is that this is not something that's made naturally. It's created in a lab and made from chemicals. And oftentimes fentanyl includes things that you may not want to be there, like cocaine or meth, which is why there are a lot of deaths from that.
Yeah, and it's important to note that Suboxone is typically used as a treatment drug.
It is.
It's typically what's used in a lot of these
Like
clinics.
this tip of this pen right here.
Yes.
See how tiny this is? If you ingest that much fentanyl, that can kill you.
Yes,
So it's really
lights
serious
out.
stuff.
And what Rochelle is trying to find out, and what we're trying to find out as well for the Ohio News Network, is this particular resignation of Annette Chambers Smith comes at a very conspicuous time. And now she's resigning to go to work for Governor DeWine, who only has 8-9 months left in office. And what is she going to be doing? She's going to be working on special projects. And one of those special projects is criminal justice reform. So the question is, why couldn't she have reformed while she was in her position? That's what we need to find out. And Rochelle will track her down, I guarantee it.
Right, and Rochelle's reached out to her multiple times for interview requests, and she's been out of the office this past week as she transitioned to this new role.
Quickly running out of time.
Exactly. So she's tried to reach out to her.
Right.
So.
Well, staying in the vein of criminal justice, something in Sardinia is...
I don't mean to laugh, but sometimes the news stories are just absurd. And this is a case in Southwest Ohio. The entire, not just one or two employees, the whole department, the police department in Sardinia was shut down, placed on administrative leave on Thursday of last week amid an investigation of total department misconduct. So who's going to handle the policing in Sardinia?
the county?
Yeah.
Well,
it's
I
going to
guess
be
it
the
has to be the
Brown
county.
County Sheriff's Department that are already overwhelmed with their own service. Now, what started this? Alleged disregard for community safety protocols, citizens' rights violations, and document shredding, and there were allegations against the police chief and his top lieutenant. Now, this led to the mayor, Ashley Webster, resigning because of conflict that she had with the village council over this, and it was the village council who moved to suspend the entire department. So now they have a new mayor. This guy is named Dusty Puckett. He's demanding an unbiased investigation, and while they investigate and figure out what's going on, all these people who work in that department are on the sidelines.
Fascinating.
very
All right, something to keep on,
interesting.
keep on top of.
Yeah.
All right. Jay, thanks so much.
It's always a pleasure.
Thank
Happy
you.
Monday.
Happy Monday.
Monday.
And go Jackets.
Go Jackets. Yeah. All right, we'll be right back after the short break. Right, welcome back to The Big Picture. Joining us right now, we have Beth and Brian, the owners of Royal Flamingo in Grandview. Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for having us. Yeah.
Absolutely. You guys are small business owners. Just give me the lowdown. Where is your coffee shop and why is it so special?
Yeah, we are right down the street. We're at 945 King Avenue here in Grandview. We're inside Natalie's, and then inside I Like It Like That cocktail bar, and then that's where our shop coexists in that total ecosystem.
It's kind of fun to go in there. It's like a little maze.
Absolutely.
What inspired you to open up this business? What year did you open it?
So, we started the roastery. So we roast our own coffee.
Mm-hmm.
So you've been roasting what, since like 2018?
Mm-hmm.
But then we opened the business in 2021.
Yeah, and then from there we went to e-commerce. We did the farmers market junkets, so we were all over the place doing that. And then I used to roast in the same building, which is where the coffee shop is. And I met Chef, had a quick conversation with them, and she's like, why are we not serving your coffee? I'm like, I don't know. Let's get it in there. So we started serving them and providing them coffee. And then I remember Beth and I were having a drink at the bar for one of their happening hour shows. And Natalie was asking me all these questions about an espresso machine. I was like, wait, what are you trying to do here? And then she was like, I want to do like a cocktail bar with like fresh espresso. I'm like, let us just open up a cafe inside the bar. Let's make this easy. And then after that, it was just done. It was so quick and fast.
The rest is history.
Yeah.
Passion for coffee come from?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, who is the driving force behind?
Oh man.
I think it's a mix.
Yeah.
It's a
Go ahead.
mix. So I used to work for the Dispatch. So I used to run like the Crave magazine back when that existed. So I would drag him like everywhere, I think, to eat food and then drink coffee. I think the third wave like coffee scene was really up and coming, and we would go to all these events, and then we started traveling, and then we would seek out coffee shops, and it sort of just, I don't know, snowballed from there.
Yeah, and I guess I didn't know coffee could taste like coffee does. And I think that's something we see a lot in the shop. It was like, wow, I don't need to add any sort of like creamer or sugar to this. This has actually got real flavor. And part of my previous job before I jokingly retired on December 1st was I would go and take customers or different people I wanted to network with to independent coffee shops. And that's where I really started to talk to the baristas, talk to the cafe owners, and it just was like, I wonder if we can do this. And then bought a sample roaster from there, and then it just, spun out of control.
What was it like opening up your business kind of in the middle of COVID? Or was it post-COVID?
So when we opened in 21, it was actually probably a blessing. I hate that, doesn't get said a lot, but we were strictly doing e-commerce, farmers markets, things like that. So we were shipping out a lot. We didn't have the brick and mortar open at that time yet. So it was really, I don't know, I guess it got our feet underneath us a little bit and kind of learned a little bit about the business.
Gave us a chance to kind of ease in.
Yeah, before we really
wanted to do.
Open the doors at the actual like brick and mortar shop.
Yeah, because we were debating whether or not should we just be a roastery and just sell coffee and wholesale it, and then being at the farmers market and having that chance to interact with customers. And I'll say our big thing there was everything that you could buy, you could sample. So our favorite thing was just to like take people on the journey of like try all these coffees. Let's show you what specialty coffee really is. And it would spark a conversation. And we're like, okay, this is really fun. Like, and to have those interactions on a daily basis, we're like, we should open a shop.
I think in society, a lot of us, maybe this is just me speaking, I've just settled for bad coffee. That tastes bitter.
It's
and not good.
It's not your parents' coffee that comes from the blue and red can.
Yes.
But it's always good to palate reset. It's always good to reset your palate on that.
So walk us through the menu, because the menu is really unique.
Yeah. So there's two things, and Beth has kind of mentioned, like we are specialty coffee roasters. So we have daily greats and super funds, and specialty means like pretty much 84, 85 points in terms of like almost like a wine spectator. They do that for coffee as well. So that's based upon like the quality of the coffee and the care of it and what people in the coffee industry will measure and prepare it or score it at. But we have a daily great, which is going to be your everyday, nothing too crazy on the fermentation process, a really clean cup of coffee, something that you're like, yep, give me a good cup of coffee, let's go for today. And then you have super funds, and that's where it gets really fun and weird, and that's what really gets me excited. Kind of always searching and finding what's new. So that's going to be rare varietals, micro lots, super interesting stories, or just like a really funky fermentation project. Like right now we're serving on pour over a carbonic maceration, red honey process, ahi bourbon varietal, and it is like black pepper, rosemary in a tropical garden. It's wild, really cool. It's stunning. You have to try to explain it, And it's that's just kind of a little bit of an example of that.
Yeah, that sounds
So
really
is there a lot of
interesting.
trial and error that goes into coming up with different blends and flavor profiles?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, part of what we do on a daily basis is we cup. That's the process of going through a quality tasting process and kind of analyzing the flavor notes. My wife has got a stunning palate. I think one of the best that I know. And, we just try and figure out, and you learn through just, like you said, trial and error. We know we've tasted really terrible cups of coffee and we've tasted really beautiful cups of coffee. But we want to, hopefully provide something for everybody. Even though we can't be everything to everybody, we want to at least give them a chance to, if they want a chocolate or nutty forward coffee, we're going to hopefully have that. If you want to have a fruit bomb, we're going to put that in front of you.
Yeah, and I think our hope too is that we know that, and a lot of people can be intimidated by coffee. I think we're all used to the bad coffee, or you're used to it being served to you in a very specific way. And that's kind of what we wanted to do at the shop. We say we're like serious coffee for unserious people. We want to do these really beautiful coffees that have really cool fermentation methods. So we can get really nerdy if you want to, but you don't have to be intimidated when you come in, right? That we're just going to have a conversation. However you want to enjoy your coffee, please enjoy your coffee that way at our shop. But if you want to go a little bit deeper, we want to give you the opportunity to do that. And that I think was really important for like the menu and how we organized it. For just
I think I
people
had a
deeper in.
mole one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What's in that?
That's all Beth
that
right
was
there.
yummy.
Yeah, so that was sort of inspired by like a black mole. So chocolate mole. We did 5 different spices and created like a panela simple syrup. And then we, on top of that, did 5 different chilies and kind of added that in. So it would have a little bit of heat, but also some chili depth. So we wanted to replicate the flavors of like a mole, like all the complicated kind of notes, all those deep notes into a coffee.
So in 2025, you guys got runner-up for US Today's best independent coffee shop in the entire country. That is a huge deal.
It's pretty amazing.
What was your reaction to that?
Yeah, I'm getting like goosebumps right now hearing it again.
In the entire country.
Yeah, it was a absolute honor to get nominated. And then I'll like give all the credit to, our customers, our community. Like they showed up.
Because they had to vote.
They had to
for
vote.
Us, is how that works. So there's like a long list, I think, of like 20 different shops. And then it's kind of on you to activate your audience and get those votes. So I think that makes it even more special because we know that it's like our customers who voted every day for, I think, a month maybe to get us to that number 2 space.
Yeah, it was pretty special.
I didn't realize that Columbus had such like a big coffee scene.
Yeah.
Does it?
Yeah, I mean, game is up. It's up there. So it's, I was just looking at, I think another shop just opened up an Idea Foundry that I just found out today about.
I mean, they're great roasters. They're great shops. It's really fun to kind of see coffee kind of blooming in the city.
Because there are, I've noticed there are a lot of roasters in the city. So it's like each one of you has to come up with something different.
Yeah, absolutely. There's got to be. It's interesting on the competitive advantage. Like where's that going to be? And I think with us is how we source our coffee and how we prepare the menu, and my wife's got that lockdown. With creating beautiful drinks based around our coffees.
All around coffee. I think that's the thing when we look at creating a seasonal menu. We start with what coffees are we serving, and what are the notes in those coffees, and how can we be inspired by the actual coffee to create drinks around them.
Yeah.
And when it comes to sourcing coffee prices have skyrocketed this year. What kind of challenges is that posed in order to keep the business viable?
Yeah, no, great question. So they call it the C market, and that's how they bridge the specialty coffee market, right? Historical highs across the board last year. It's gone down like a sliver so far. And also, unfortunately, throw tariffs on top of that because we can't grow coffee in the United States. So give you an example, Brazil was tariffed 50% last year. I was fortunate enough to buy in bulk, so it put me in a little bit of a burden on capital because I had to buy a lot of coffee up front to hopefully surpass the the problems that we have with tariffs. But it's an ongoing challenge. I mean, it's from coffees that I was buying, I would be in the mid $4 in a green pound. Now I haven't seen really anything sub $6, for how we source. And it's a little bit of a sticker shock, but we've tried to gradually increase our price a little bit, but it's also a challenge because I want everybody to enjoy our coffee, and that's kind of just a principle that we stand by. Could we charge a little bit more? Sure. Do we want to? No. Like we want everybody to have that experience of our coffee.
And when you said you source in bulk from Brazil, for example, do you work directly with the farmers there?
Not with Brazil. I have a partner that I work with. So there's wholesalers that we purchase from. They'll have the connections to get us to the farms. But that's also been a gateway to us. Last year, we were fortunate enough to go both to Guatemala and Colombia. And we were able to visit, 4 or 5 different farms in Colombia, and got to go on site. I got to cup. Shout out to Edwin Arena, who that's who we had won Best Espresso in North America in 2023 with his coffee called Red Fruits. And so that's how we've been able to make a direct connection and then buy directly from the farmers. However, it's a logistical challenge when you have to go through importing tariffs, and then how do you get it from the farm to port, and then from port through customs. So usually it gets handed off to a local partner, like who we work with down, they have the direct contact with the farmers, and then that's how we get those coffees.
And of the handful of countries in the coffee belt that are able to grow coffee, I mean, Hawaii can produce a little bit, but not a lot. Is there a favorite flavor profile? Is there, do you have a favorite over, Argentinian coffee or Ethiopian? Like, is there a...
Yeah, I'll answer, then I'll let Beth answer. So for me, in terms of the curiosity part of me, I think Colombia is doing some really interesting things. They have very high quality coffee. They do sell it outside of their country. Something like Ecuador, they drink all that specialty coffee, so it's really hard to get that, and I'm still looking for it, so if anybody can find me a contact there. But for me, Colombia, for sure. I gravitate towards something that's either herbaceous or things that are like really interesting and fruity. So those are my notes that I'm pretty passionate about. But what about you, Beth?
I think I'd say Colombia too, but part of that is just, it's because specialty coffee is becoming such a bigger thing there. They're really making that switch from conventional to like really cool fermentation methods and processing methods, and they're pushing the boundaries. I think a lot of the coffee industry is looking at what they're doing there and kind of adapting their processes and bringing them home. So Colombia, we always tend to have a little bit more Colombian coffee, I think, on the menu for that reason, that they're just doing, the farmers we work with are doing such an amazing job, and they have such cool stories to tell. So I think Colombia too.
Is there a best season to get your beans, or like when are those harvested? I'm just curious.
Man, I don't have the calendar in front of me, but that's a great question.
It does.
It varies by
Okay.
origin. So right now we were able to purchase like Peru, just harvested. It was on float. It landed. So we just dropped a new Peru coffee at our shop. Same with Kenya. We are sourcing our Uganda that we usually get every year. So this is our 5th straight year buying from Mountain Harvest. That'll come usually towards like October, but we have to source it now because it's like farming, getting picked, and then people are tasting it, and then they decide how to process it. So, as of right now, there's a lot of interesting.
It changes. I mean, it is seasonal.
It changes.
I appreciate the question because
it's
it's a crop, right? We're not going to have everything all year round. But Colombia is interesting because they have 2 harvest seasons, so they're pretty unique. So it depends on the origin, and then how quickly we can buy the coffee.
And it's super fun to taste, like, what does one coffee taste like last year, and what's it going to be like this year? Is it going to be more fruity? Is it going to be more herbaceous? Like, it's alwa's hopefully consistently
I know for
curious.
wine, there's sommeliers, obviously. For coffee, what is it? It's not barista.
No, I mean, they're licensed Q graders.
Yep.
Q
So
graders.
licensed Q graders. So
Very cool.
we're hopefully going through that challenge this year to get certified.
Ooh, what is that
with
like?
it.
Does
It's
that entail?
pretty.
It's
It's intense. Yeah, and
I
I
can
hate.
imagine.
I don't love science. And it's like my worst nightmare. It's like
And
I have
I
to know
do,
science.
so,
She loves science, so I can usually our yin and yang is like I can lean on her for that stuff.
Yeah.
This is solo. Like I got to figure it out. So yeah, it's a whole thing about knowing like defects, blind tastings, understanding how to explain the story from origin to where it's at today, and it's been modified, so it's a little controversial in terms of where it's at now with the certification. But I think it's more about the storytelling versus like, oh, this has got a certain sort of acid defect or something like that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there's a big thing in the coffee world to bring that certification to make it easier for everyone in the supply chain to have access to it. Because historically, the only folks who've really had access are the people at the end of the supply chain. So now they're trying to format it in a way where it can be easier for producers to have access to all of this training, so that we're all using, I think, a certain like common language. I think that's been the big thing. Because what we get as tasting notes is going to be different than what someone in Ethiopia is going to get as tasting notes. So kind of understanding all of that, it's interesting to see. So I feel like some of the changes have been good.
Wow. That is so awesome. One more time. What are your hours? Where are you located?
Yeah, absolutely. We are 945 King Avenue. Inside Natalie's, inside I Like That bar. We're open right now Wednesdays through Sunday, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. We have plenty of seating, which has now been expanded into the Natalie side. We got a super cool patio, and it's just a vibe and
Our
great
spring
cups of
menu just
coffee.
dropped,
Spring
so-
menu just dropped,
Okay.
so come on in, ask some questions, and get some great coffee.
One more question. Why is it called Royal Flamingo?
Hard way to find a name of a company, right? It's so when you walk into our house, above our bar, there's a picture of a flamingo. I bought it at Happy Go Lucky. It's a flamingo wearing royal garb, wearing a crown.
Okay.
And our story is when you open up our bar, you're like, oh, you see that painting, and you're like, oh, they're not gonna take themselves too seriously. And you open up our bar, and they're like, whoa, what's gonna happen here? I'm gonna get a cocktail I've never tasted before. So it's kind of like the serious for unserious vibe. But then from there, to two nods, one Parma, Ohio, which is where I grew up. It used to be the largest producer of the pink lawn flamingos, so it's a little bit of a nod to that. And then a local artist, Adam Hernandez, who's done a lot of beautiful paintings and murals here in the city. He was able to make us a painting that replicates make us a logo that replicates our painting. And it's just bright, beautiful, and yeah, that's how Royal Flamingo
It's
started.
happy, just like
Be
coffee.
disarming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brian,
Thank you
Beth,
guys so
thank you so
much.
much.
Thanks for having
Thank
us.
you. Thanks for having us.
Awesome. We'll be right back after this short break.
Appreciate it.
Welcome back to the big picture.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm thinking about coffee now. They got my
Yeah.
wheels turning. I just love how you can go so in depth with the flavor, you know? It's
Yeah.
really cool. Awesome. Well, if you're waking up and if you're heading to the airport, say a prayer because the lines are really long this morning. Here's a look at the Fly Columbus website. You can see, if you're going there about right now, your wait time is going to be, I can't read that. Zenobia, I
Z's
can't
got better
see.
eyes than we do.
34
that's
minutes.
not terrible, but longer than we would typically expect.
Right.
Okay, 23
Yeah.
minute wait. So we're not experiencing the crazy waits that you're going to get at Atlanta or JFK or LaGuardia, but you are going to have to wait a little bit longer.
Well, the TSA workers, federal employees, are supposed to be getting their back pay starting today, but some are saying they're just only getting their back pay for March and not for their partial paycheck that they got in February. As we've been reporting and talking about, these TSA workers, they need their money. They have families to support. And about 61,000 of them have been impacted by this. 500 have quit since February 14th. And we know at CMH they have about 200. So, but we really haven't seen the impacts at CMH. It's mainly the larger airports, but I feel like we're now starting to see the trickle-down effect.
And it's so dependent on the number of call-outs they get. We know that is a big factor.
Like today might have been a big call-out day.
Yeah, we don't know.
It kind of looks like it.
And I mean, because
based off the numbers,
right? But we've talked about in the past that like the early morning, that like 5 to 7 o'clock block is always when you get those long wait times, because that's when everything leaves out of Columbus. But yeah, these are some longer is relative, wait times than we typically see.
Yeah, it's not going to be 4 hours though, like at some airports, which is good news.
You can still do the 90 minutes and be fine.
Yeah.
Which is still what Columbus is recommending. They're still recommending 90 minutes.
So we're obviously like in the middle of spring break travel. Like we're in the bulk of it right now. And whether you're flying or you're driving, gasoline prices are very expensive. Have you looked at any flights anywhere recently?
No, but I know the cost of avgas is now up to $7 a gallon.
Bad.
It actually might be more than 7 now.
Yeah.
I think the last I looked, it's crazy.
It's bad. So diesel is now over $5. Crude, Brent crude is
up to $1.15
a barrel. And the Ohio average, we have the AAA map pulled up here. It's $3.82.
Yeah.
That's about 10 cents lower. Actually, no, more than that for the national average.
We were $3.99 last week. But compare that to a month ago when we were paying $2.81. So gas prices are still elevated.
I had to fill up my car on Saturday, and
so the rent is always above average there. Zenobia, what is, if you hover over Franklin County there? So we're looking at $3.89. Okay, so we're kind of smack dab in lockstep right now, pretty much with the country. But the blue counties are where it's going to be a little bit cheaper. You got to weigh it out. Is it worth driving an hour for cheaper gas? No, it's not.
That doesn't make
for the 10
sense.
cents.
Well, here's some tips though from Consumer Reports to make your gas last longer. Obey the speed limit, Collin.
Yeah.
Okay. No zooming around town. And be safe and drive smoothly. And then skip out on the premium gas if you're able to, if your engine will take it. And then turn off the AC when it's hot, which if you're down to do that, but
it steals a lot of the energy out of your engine to run the AC compressor.
It really does, though.
And when it comes to driving smoothly, like don't accelerate hard, like gradually accelerate. I can just remember my dad yelling at me, teaching me to drive of like, keep it under 1,500 RPM.
No, literally sometimes I'm like, how am I that far in my gas if I'm driving somewhere? My husband's like, it's because you're just hitting the accelerate like all the time.
And city driving is a lot harder on your car than rural driving because you're just stop and go.
Yeah, and the final piece of advice, check the prices online and then maybe minimize your travel. Like, don't go anywhere.
I am, I've kind of done that. Where it's like the Kroger is, a couple, probably half a mile from my house. And I'm like, I could walk this instead of.
Like, I drove to Cincinnati this weekend and I was like, why did I decide to do that?
Yeah.
Because it was really expensive for my gas.
Right.
But it was fun. It's for the memories. Okay. Well, we're going to take a quick break. Coming up, we're talking about tick awareness because it's spring and you really got to watch out for those.
The other sign of spring, hummingbirds.
Yes, we're talking hummingbird migration. Aaron White's coming on, so we'll be right back. Welcome back to the big picture. We're talking about ticks.
Yeah.
Womp womp.
Yep, they're back, but it is a sign of spring.
Yeah, and apparently, according to doctors at Cleveland Clinic, with milder winters, you can have more of those ticks than the previous year.
Doesn't kill 'em off.
Which is really gross. Yeah. So this is what one physician had to say.
There's a number of things with ticks that are interesting. So ticks live 2 to 3 years, right? And with milder winters, you have more of those ticks making it another year, and therefore reproducing, etc. So we're seeing that higher tick burden.
Yeah, so the weather's obviously getting nicer. People like to go outside and hike. Make sure you wear bug repellent. Really important. 2. Do you know what number 2 is?
Long sleeves and pants.
There you go. Ding, ding, ding.
You're
you
that person
win.
that's tucking your jeans into your socks.
Yes. $100 for you. And then stay away from all the tall grass and the trees.
Yeah, they do like to hide in there. As somebody who enjoys getting outdoors.
So Zenovia's back, and you have a tick pick
it's a tick
for us.
pick.
What is this, Collin?
It is. It was a little parting gift from a story like 3 years ago from the Delaware County Public Health.
A tick pick.
Yeah,
I thought you were talking about like a picture of the tick that you had on your body.
You slide it under the tick that's on your body, and it helps get it out of your skin without breaking it off and like leaving part of it in there. It is a tool to get the tick out.
I'm a model now. Tick pick model.
So yes.
I literally thought you were talking about like taking a photo of the tick.
No.
Okay.
No,
it's
a tool
Monday.
to get rid of the tick. Yep.
All right, here's one more soundbite about repellents.
Repellents are very effective. The same repellents that we use for like mosquitoes. DEET at the 20% concentration, safe for pregnant mothers and children. Applied is an effective repellent. If we don't like the texture of DEET, there are alternatives.
Okay. Hello. Aaron's with us now. It's warming up, so they might be, breaking out of their eggshells? Ticks?
Yeah, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. Coming out of the ground, wherever they are.
I feel like it's one of those things you never really want to think about because, they're all over the place sometimes in the trees. And little story, I've only ever had one tick on me, and it must have happened during at the gas station sometime because I was driving 70 miles per hour down the interstate, and all like sudden and just kind of flicked it off. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah. But the other thing that comes with springtime, and it is one thing we like to think about, hummingbirds.
Yes. What's going on?
Yeah, hummingbirds. The ruby-throated hummingbird starting to make its way back to the north. It's been already seen across the south, many states. Right now, as far north as Kentucky has seen that. So we're likely going to see them more here into April. And I think, honestly, tomorrow is going to be one of those days that really kind of drives it because they take advantage, of course, of the warmer temperatures, but they really take advantage of that wind. So they don't have to really use as much energy to fly. So when we have a strong south wind like we'll have tomorrow, maybe we'll start to see some sightings tomorrow.
They're smart little birdies just soaring with the wind.
I for some reason can imagine other birds doing the migration thing, but hummingbirds is just something that blows me because I was like, they're so small.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I love them.
Hummingbirds. Me too.
Always cool to see.
Yeah. I don't have the feeders. I've thought about getting the feeders.
Hey, this could be your year.
This could be the year to get
Get some
hummingbird
feeders.
Yeah, but you have to be very cautious about what you put in them.
That's
you're not
true.
supposed to just use the sugar water because it creates mold, and then it could actually be, lethal.
Yeah.
But
and you have to watch out for the squirrels because they try to take everything.
Right. The squirrels.
The
squirrels do like to steal
yes.
fish. Yeah.
Well, we have one more weird video. This is out of Australia.
Yeah, this one wild.
What happened here?
Yeah, so they had this tropical cyclone that actually kicked up a lot of the dust and really drove all that dust into the air. And we've seen similar situations, like when you think about those hazy skies from all that wildfire smoke making that color. Similar situation.
Yeah,
okay. Well, that's it for the big picture today. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 9 a.m.
We'll see you
then.
then.
You don't want to miss it.